Hey guys, welcome to the back of the shop. So, I picked up this air compressor basically for a song. Just happened to be Hammer Time by MC Hammer, so I knew all the lyrics. But anyways, paid very little for it. 60 gallon used air compressor. Runs and everything, but when I turn it on, it pumps fine, fills up. The pressure switch opens up and the compressor turns off, but when it does, it starts blowing air out of this little hose right here. So I originally thought that maybe the pressure switch had something leaking in it. So I did a little research, and turns out that that's not it. So it's going to give you a little way to diagnose your air compressor if you're having the same issue. All right, so the air is leaking. Let's see if I can get it to focus right here. And it doesn't leak air there when the compressor is running, but immediately when I turn it off, it starts leaking right here. So I got to do a little bit of research, and I was wondering what this line that goes and ties in right here is. And it turns out that my compressor has what's called an unloader. And what that does is it relieves the pressure through this line. When the compressor cycles off, it relieves the pressure through this line so that the compressor is not starting up with head pressure on it. So it's not starting up with pressure on the cylinder. It relieves that. So what's causing that to leak is this is called an in-tank check valve. And it's a one-way valve that as the compressor is pumping, it's pushing the air in. But whenever the compressor stops, the valve goes this way and stops. This line lets the pressure that's on the compressor relieve, and once it blows out that little blast of air, then it's supposed to stop. Now I've already had this out, and I tried to fix it, and I reinstalled it just to show you this video, and I've already ordered this part, but I'll show you in a second how this is not work, how it's supposed to work, and then what it's not doing. Okay, so I got it out. The way it sits in that tank is just like this, threads in the top of the tank. This is where the unloader little 1/4-inch line or 1/8 inch line comes out of it. And then this is where the compressor pumps into. So there's a valve, you can see these little holes right here. So as it pumps down, it blows out these holes, and that little white thing, I guess it's rubber. Whenever the compressor shuts off, the pressure in the tank pushes that back up, and it closes off. And that's what's not happening, it's not closing off. And I can tell that by blowing in it. Whew. Told you I was a great singer, all that lung capacity. But it's not closing off. So that's the issue. The compressor would still be fine. It's just gonna constantly be running because it's gonna leak down all the pressure in the tank out the unloader line. So I think it's 11 or 12 bucks. Got a replacement on the way. It should be here tomorrow. Put it in and I'll do a follow-up. Got my new check valve in. Fixing to put this guy in. See if that really was what the problem is.
This valve is brass, so make sure to use a smooth-jawed wrench on it, not something with Steve Buscemi teeth.
All right, new valve is installed. Everything's connected. I did have to put a new plastic O-ring or compression ring in here because the rubber one that was there before was no good. And I'll just use some blue Loctite on this part. So start it up, see what happens. Cool. So no more leaking from here. Got it up to 50 psi because I've got a leak over here that right here that I'm gonna have to fix. But no leaks in there. So when I looked up this part, this pressure switch, it was anywhere from 60 to 90 bucks. For that check valve right there, I paid $12 for it. So just by a little bit of diagnosing, research, and knowing a little bit about how the stuff works, saved myself anywhere from 50 to 80 bucks. So my compressor was leaking right here on the factory part of this bushing to where it threads into the compressor. And originally when I pulled it out, I thought that I could fix it with some Teflon tape and some pipe dope. You know, there's no hope without dope. But these are not tapered threads. So they're not like a normal nominal pipe thread to where the end is a little bit narrower than the shoulder, and as it tightens in there, it'll pull all that pipe dope and tape in there and create a seal. This one all the way in. So I realized that it's supposed to have an O-ring on it, around it, and this is a removable cap, I guess. I don't know what, for clean out or something, but I'm gonna pull that back off, and I don't have an O-ring that size, so I'm gonna attempt to create one. Okay, so from the looks of it, it looks like someone else has tried that same Teflon tape to get that thing to stop leaking before. But it's never going to work because these threads are parallel to the threads out there, so they'll never pull down tight. I did find this is the original O-ring that goes on there. It's been broken, but that's just tightened up to where that O-ring snugs down, and it's rubber and it seals it off. Of course, I don't have one of those, and I don't really want to go buy one, but I do have this tube of blue RTV silicone gasket maker that's typically used for automotive gasket fixes, but we can give it a shot. If it doesn't work, I'll just scrape it off and try something else. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bead around this, right inside that lip where that O-ring would sit. Then I'm going to let it sit for a little while, kind of firm up or dry out just a little bit before. All right, so it's been 24 hours later. I screwed this in there, but it's not tight. It'll allow that that RTV silicone to harden up a little bit. But I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down, repipe my air line, and then retry it to see if it'll hold air.
I found a 3/4 inch plug, threaded it in, pressured it up, and checked it with some soap bubbles. And then apparently turned my head back and forth a lot.
It's getting dark, but I got everything reconnected. I'm gonna turn it on, let it pressurize, and then go inside and see if I've finally got air out of my big compressor. I've got air. So it cost me grand total less than 15 bucks to fix everything, to put the new check valve in the tank. Then I had to replace a piece of PVC that I broke, but that was my fault. So good to go. All total, I gave 100 bucks for the air compressor and 15 bucks, 60 gallons of air, ready for me whenever I'm ready to use it. So I run it about 90 or 100 psi because that's what my Brad nailer, and that's mostly that and just air to blow things off is all I use it for. So I'm excited. So thanks for watching. You used to be able to get air at the gas station for free. Now it costs $2. Inflation blows.